I do want to ask about a pit tackle. Matt Goncalves is a dude who took a local visit to Pittsburgh, met with them at the combine, uh, has some traction when it comes to being like a mid-round pick in the NFL. I mean, what's the upside of this guy? You've covered him for a couple of years now. Is he a starter in the NFL? How long until he's a starter in the NFL? Is he a right tackle, left tackle? Can he be versatile? What's the outlook on this guy?
Yeah, I think Matt could be a decent fit for the Steelers for a couple of reasons. One is the versatility. He can play both sides of the line. So if you're thinking about making that transition for Broderick, this is an option to kind of help that get sped along. I also think that he's a pretty good run blocker. Like that's where he's more advanced at this point, which, you know, I think he's decently starter ready. Like I think he could, maybe not week one, but you could throw him in there pretty soon after the season starts and feel pretty comfortable. The only thing I think that's concerning is that he hasn't played football in, like, by the time you get to September, he won't have played football in over a year.
Yeah.
And, he's only played 3 games within the past 2 years, or a year and a half. So that's a little concerning is just how rusty is he. He needs some preseason games to get up to speed and maybe even a little bit of regular season action. I think the comforting thing is that, he's a really good run blocker. I think that's the thing. Like, you have a solid foundation there. The athleticism is a bit of a question just in terms of, how well will he be able to pass block right away. So we'll see. I mean, maybe getting healthy from that toe injury that he had will help him move a little bit better. His testing numbers at Pro Day weren't crazy, but he also told us that he was at only about 80-85%. So still got some recovery to do. I feel like during that visit, the Steelers were kind of talking. That was probably a lot of the conversation was, how healthy are you? How healthy can we get you?
Yeah.
Where will you be by the time the season starts? So I think he could step in and be a starter right away. Is he an all pro right away? No. He's going to be pretty limited and there are going to be some growing pains, but I think the kind of short-term upside of it could be pretty good for the Steelers, especially if you're getting him in the 4th round or something like that.
Is that where you see him going in the 4th round? And where would he go if he was healthy? Like if he, if he never had to deal with the injuries?
If he was healthy and played a full season, I mean, I don't know how Pitt's record this year. I mean, he probably would have helped them win, 4 or 5 games instead of 3. But I think he would have put on some pretty good tape, and I think he could have climbed to as high as the 2nd maybe. But I think I've seen him. He was comfortably in the 3rd round of mock drafts I saw basically all season, despite not playing at all. And it doesn't seem like his draft stock has dropped at all really since the season ended. I still think that teams are going to meet with him. They're going to see those pro day numbers, and he's going to drop maybe to the 4th. I think that's more likely, but I'd say late 3rd, early 4th. That's where I'd probably guess that he'd go at this point.
Here's what I want to talk about next. Size matters. We all know it, and it's important to remember it in times of need. I recently went to a small law firm in hopes of getting the compensation I felt I deserved. I didn't, and to this day, I still think about the money that I may have missed out on. I filled out mounds of paperwork, then waited around for what felt like forever, got phone call after phone call telling me what I did not do right in the process, and it was expensive. All to get underwhelming compensation and almost zero satisfaction. Fortunately, if you ever get seriously injured and want to file a claim, you don't have to go through the same hassle I did. Instead, you can make it way easier by finding out if you have a claim in just a few clicks on your phone and working with America's biggest injury law firm with the promise of being for the people. Here comes Morgan & Morgan, today's sponsor. Morgan & Morgan has over 1,000 attorneys working in all 50 states fighting to get their clients the money they deserve. In recent months, they've achieved verdicts for their clients, including one that is worth $26 million. That is 40 times the highest insurance offer. And they're absolutely free unless you win. I got lowballed. Don't make the same mistake I did. Fighting big companies takes a big firm, and with America's biggest injury law firm, you're ready to take on insurance companies of any size. Don't overthink it. You can start your claim in just a few clicks by following the link in our description or by going to www.forthepeople.com/allsteelers. It only takes a few minutes to find out if you have a case. And if you have, it might be worth millions. Yeah, I look at guys like that and I just say like there's potential there, and if the Steelers want options, like that's what I think everybody's sold on, like a first round tackle, 99% that they're going to go first round offensive tackle. That's the only way that they're going to replace Dan Moore. I think you got a year to replace Dan Moore if the Steelers really want to, and a guy like Matt could come in here and just kind of learn and grow and be a replacement for right now, just kind of like Chooks, and him and Spencer Anderson can grow together, and you kind of see what you got in both of those guys, and maybe one works out. I think that that's not an unrealistic possibility for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think if the first round doesn't go the way that they want it to and they have to make a decision, or if it does go the way that they want to and they end up with like, oh, Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell are still on the board, there's no chance they're going with an offensive. Like, I would be stunned if both of those names were up there at pick number 20 and the Steelers win offensive tackle. There's just no chance they're going to pass either of those guys up. At that point, I could see them saying like, all right, look, we're going to wait it out on, because that's the thing is like the second round and beyond offensive tackles, there's a pretty significant dip from those first round offensive tackles. So I don't think that you're getting guys that are like, okay, like, you know, this is definitely going to be a starter. I think you're getting guys that are like, we hope this guy's a starter in a year. And I think that's where Matt could come into play. And I think the Steelers could consider those options if they're there. I think that's a more likely situation than the Steelers moving up 8 spots to go get Fuaga and saying, like, we're going to give up a lot to go get a tackle. Like, I just don't think they're going to limit themselves like that. I really don't. I think in the second round, they might make a move. Not, first round, unless it's like a really small move, it would surprise me.
Yeah, and I feel like it's very Steelers to say, to be a little bit less aggressive, early, like in that first round, and say, well, we've got options. We've got things that we're at least comfortable with. Like, we don't feel we need to take the big swing just to, I don't know, just to find a superstar right now. Like, we can fill some of the other gaps with a pick with at a better slot value, I guess I would say, than trying to take this big home run swing and maybe getting a superstar, but maybe not, and giving up some draft capital and leaving the rest of our roster or some other parts of our roster vulnerable in the process.
Yep, I agree. I don't think it's a move for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's going to be on their radar. And the more that they look into this kid, I don't know. But I would watch Goncalves. I would say, that's a name that would be on my radar moving forward if I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, just because you never know when he's next door, and the Steelers got plenty of look at him the last couple of years.